everybody, it's Anita Foster with the Arlington ISD with the district update for Friday, August 14th, 2020. We have a number of topics to go over today, so I want to give you the rundown and then we'll introduce our guest. First, we're going to talk about new metrics to determine when we return to in-person instruction. Registration is open now, so we want to make sure that you've had the opportunity to register. What will be different about online learning? We're going to talk all about that. And our meals service, that's going to be a little bit different than it was in the spring and in the summer. And then we're going to end with the VATRE. We'll learn what that is and why we need it. From there, I'm going to go ahead and turn my attention to our guest, as always, the Superintendent, Dr. Marcelo Cavazos. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you. And this is an opportunity for us to provide an update, but also to get some important information out.
Very good. So we're going to start with the guidance provided by Tarrant County Public Health. A lot of people might remember that we initially worked with Tarrant County Public Health on an order to keep schools closed through the end of September. And then some things happened and that order was rescinded. And now we are back with Tarrant County Public Health with some very measurable metrics for reopening school. Tell us about that.
That's right. And so this is something that we have, quite frankly, been asking for. This is not a critique, but we've been asking for from the state and others. What are some goals? What are some metrics? What are some numbers that districts can look towards before making a decision or as they make a decision to open schools for face-to-face instruction? So Tarrant County Health Department has worked on that and has provided these metrics. And I think they're good standards to aim for and to observe to see if we're making progress to being able to open. So the first one is a 7-day moving average of people who test positive is 10%, ideally 5%. And I'll tell you that I stand more on the 5% rate in terms of our decision making. And so the lower the positivity rate, the less likely we have COVID outbreak in our schools. And just to give you a perspective, currently we're at about, in Tarrant County, about 10%, and it's been trending down, but it has been up in 20% just a few weeks ago. And this rolling average has to be over a period of time. That's the other key point.
And then the second point that they pointed out was the rate of cases has to be less than 2,000 per week, right?
That's correct. And the caseload in Tarrant County right now is well over 2,000 per week. But that's another metric. So we have these standards that we can look to, and it's everyone can look to see how we're making progress to that.
Yes, and we are not close on that one yet. And then we have to have at least the last 4 weeks of data show stable or declining case counts. We have not seen that
Right.
yet.
We haven't seen in Tarrant County the stable or declining counts at this point. So that's another one. The next one is the percentage of 7-day moving average for COVID-like illnesses should be trending lower for at least 2 weeks. And we're starting to see a drop currently, but it hasn't sustained yet for that period of time.
And then the percent of hospital beds occupied. That's so important because we're such a huge population. You talk a lot about interdependency.
Right.
So right now there's hospital availability. And the metric says that the percent of hospital beds occupied by COVID-19 cases has to be below 10%. We're currently at 11%.
That's correct.
So if we open schools
That's
and we
correct.
sent 60,000 students and 8,500 staff members all back together at the same time without social distancing, what could that possibly do to our hospital?
Right,
rate?
and that would increase those rates. And so we know, and I've said this often, we don't work in isolation. It's not about a school opening or not opening. Of course, we'd like to open our schools. That's what we're all about, is providing instruction face-to-face. The question is, when is it safe? And these metrics help us guide our decision-making with the health authorities. And so the next one is school districts will have submitted a reopening plan for review by Tarrant County Public Health and the Arlington Public Health Authority. And I'll tell you, we've done that already, and it's been approved by our health authority in Arlington and Tarrant County. So we're ahead of that game because we have a great relationship with them, and I want to thank them publicly. Again, their authority may have been taken away, but their rationale, their content of their order and the content of their recommendations doesn't change. And so I'm proud of them for surfacing this type of metrics so that we can continue to aim so that we can at some point open our schools.
Very good. I think that will be very helpful to families who ask, how do we know when schools are going to reopen? Now we have 6 guiding principles that we'll follow to make sure that we open as safely as possible when the time is right. Now let's switch direction just a little bit, because even though we are not going to be in person, we are starting school on Monday as scheduled. So we need kids to register for school. Talk to us a little bit about where we are in the registration process.
Yeah, so fundamentally we ask everyone to register. In order for you to receive service as a student or family, whether that's meals, supplies, technology, and most important, the instruction, you have to be registered. And so we're asking everyone to register. Our campuses are doing a great job reaching out to everyone to register. Currently, we stand over 80% of our target in terms of students that have registered, which is outstanding in relation to this time last year. We know that historically, students and families sometimes wait till the first day of school. They show up and they're ready to register the first day of school. Our first day of school will be virtual. So in order for us to connect with students, they must have already registered. Our registration process will continue to be open, and we're going to persist with campus teams and others reaching out to parents and families to help them register, because we want to connect with every single student to be able to provide service, and they continue to grow and develop as learners.
Well, 80% is getting close, but we still need everyone else to register. And then we have pre-K registration going on too, which has really been exciting, because we've had around 3,300 kids sign up, or parents sign their small ones up for pre-K. Tell us about what's going to be new and different this year.
Yeah, so for a little perspective, Anita, and so this is the first year in Arlington ISD, and we've waited a long time for this. The first year we're able to offer full day pre-K. And so it is during this time online instruction, but it is a milestone for our school district. I had the opportunity to visit with, through Zoom, all our pre-K teachers, and I thank them, because if they can surface instruction and have engagement with pre-K students online, then it's a task that I think all of us can accomplish.
None of the rest of us can complain.
That's right. And so I thank them. I thank pre-K teachers often, even when we're face-to-face. But I'll tell you that pre-K students, the enrollment has trended really well, which we know helps students. It helps students get that head start, make sure that they don't have gaps in learning. So we'll have instruction, live instruction, small group activities, active exploration, arts and recreation and experiments, Ready Rosie to help with learn SEL skills and things like that, highly engaging with pre-K. So I'm proud of our pre-K teachers, and welcome to pre-K students. Just a matter of perspective, our full day pre-K students will be the class of 2034.
Wow.
Yeah, 2034. And just gives you a perspective that we'll get past this, and we really have to welcome our youngest learners to our school system and help them thrive and be successful.
You know, when you think about it, you realize that they've never been to school.
That's right.
So they don't know anything different. So it's going to be really interesting, because they're going to have the opportunity through a special gift that we're going to provide pre-K to maybe meet their teacher, even from a socially distanced standpoint. Tell us about what pre-K kids are going to receive.
Yeah, so every pre-K student will receive a backpack specifically for them with supplies for pre-K to get the year started. We'll be rolling that out into the coming weeks to make sure that every pre-K student has the supplies they need to be welcome to our school district, welcome to learning, and hopefully soon welcome to face-to-face instruction.
Oh, absolutely. That's really exciting. So if you guys have not registered your kids yet, go to AISD.net/register and find all the information you need to get started in the new virtual school year.
That's right.
All right, so let's turn our attention, Dr. Cavazos, to the first day of school. It's usually a big spectacle. We take you all over, you go into classrooms. We're still going to do all of that, but there won't be as many people on a campus. Who will be on campus?
Yeah, so we're asking teachers who want to come to teach from their classroom to come to their classroom. We're providing the flexibility here in Arlington for our teachers to either teach in their classroom or teach from home. The standard is what we've set together as a team. we've set a standard to be the best online instructor possible and our students to be the best online learners. Where that can be accomplished in terms of a teacher is we're providing that autonomy. Do it from the classroom, you have your supplies, materials, internet connection, etc., or if you can do that from home. The important thing is that we meet that standard. So there'll be some teachers potentially in the building if they want to use the facilities for that. That autonomy is really important because we want teachers to focus and concentrate on being the best online instructors possible. We know that we weren't designed as educators we weren't taught to just do remote learning and deliver instruction remotely and not do face-to-face, but that's where we are today, and we want to make sure we're successful with that.
Well, I certainly hear from a number of teachers who express their gratitude to you and the executive team for making the decisions that allow them to be flexible. A lot of teachers express that they might have an underlying health condition or they live with someone who does.
That's right.
And for them to be able to work from home has been very meaningful. And then on the other side, those who are just cheering that they can come back to their campus very safely, following all protocols, and run those experiments and things like that from their classrooms.
Right.
All right, so let's hit on a tough topic, and that is the virtual instruction itself. A lot of parents have shared with us and with you that the spring didn't go as well as they had hoped. Very difficult transition for children in the learning environment, hard for parents who work. What will be different in the fall?
Yeah, so we know that the spring was crisis instruction. We had to pivot very quickly to online instruction. We've also known that there was high, frustration spring because we all had to go into this platform. However, now in the fall, we've retooled, and again, in the spring was a remarkable effort for what we had to deal with. But the fall will be different in that we will take daily attendance, there will be grades, there will be live instruction by the teacher every day that the teacher will then record to make sure everybody has access to that live instruction. And there'll be counseling services available, tutorials, interventions, small group instruction. So the full comprehensive battery of things that we think of in face-to-face instruction, we're trying to make sure we provide for students and families on an online environment. So very different than the fall, much more rigorous, and it'll count for GPA and grades and things like that. And so we have high expectations for our teachers, but also for our students to make sure that they continue to be engaged every day for daily attendance and credit and grades and things like that we know are important.
Let's drill down just a little bit into a couple of specifics, and the first one is the live instruction. Parents ask us a lot, I work, I don't know that if my kid is at daycare or somewhere at home, wherever they will be during the day, I don't know that they can log on and do that live instruction. Are they penalized if they're not able to participate?
So not penalized if you're not able to participate in live instruction. We do want, as an ideal, it would be ideal for students to log on during the live instruction because that they'll receive the instruction on a kind of timely basis. However, we also know there's a lot of life situations where that's not possible, and we don't want students to be penalized or fall behind because they didn't engage during the live instruction. So we are going to record those sessions and make them available so that they can, with their parents, log in later that day to view the live instruction. This would be more out of necessity to be able to have that live instruction later. Ideally, we want them to engage during the time it's live, if possible, because we know that that's keeps the continuity of learning, keeps the routine, keeps the habit. Those things that we experienced in the spring were difficult because there wasn't necessarily the structure or the habit forming. In the fall, we'll have those structures so that students can get into a rhythm and a mode of learning and developing and growing.
And the attendance piece too is another one that parents ask about a lot, especially working parents who help their children in the evening hours. Do kids have to check in, if you will, at a specific time of day?
That's correct. So students will have to have some engagement to be counted present. And that'll be explained further through your school, but basically have some engagement with Canvas, with your teacher, some correspondence and things like that every day to be counted present. You have until 11:59 every day to be able to have that engagement.
You should be in bed by then.
That's right, but you may not be, and so you'll have until then to be counted present for that day. Again, ideally would be that we structure and that students engage with us during school hours, but we also know, again, there's life situations that are going to prevent that from happening. So we have until 11:59 every day to engage, and keeping in mind that we want everyone engaged every single day, so that when we do open, it'll be more seamless and we won't have all these gaps of learning or instruction.
Okay, very good. Let's turn our attention to meal service. So we've done almost 2 million meals since we went out for spring break and haven't returned to in-person instruction. So tell us what will be different about the meal service program for the fall.
So the good news is that we're going to continue to provide meals. We learned, and we knew this, but I think everyone learned this, that meals are essential from schools, even during shutdowns and things like that, because of the participation. So we'll have meal services twice a week. The first week of school, we'll have it Mondays and Thursday, and then the next week we'll have Tuesday and Thursday. And the reason for that, sometimes I get that question, why do you start with Monday and then switch to Tuesday, is to have meals the first day of school. And then they'll be packaged so that those meals can be assembled and developed as the week progresses. And so you will have to be registered in the school district, and you'll have to be a student of Arlington ISD, and you'll have an ID or a code to present to pick up the meals. If you pay normally or reduced price normally, then that will apply on every day that you pick up the meal. So thanking our food service staff and our entire district support staff, because they've worked tirelessly to make sure they can provide these meals in a way that is seamless and doesn't have these big interruptions.
Okay, so Monday and Thursday, the first week of school.
That's right.
And then from there, and moving every week after that, it will be Tuesdays and Thursdays,
That's correct.
right? Okay, 10:30 to 12:30
That's right.
is the pickup time. And I think this is really fun. We have a chef in the district,
That's
and
right.
that might be surprising to people, but Chef Carl works
Right.
here at the Arlington ISD, and he's actually going to film a series of YouTube videos that shows how to use the food
That's
that
right.
you get in your pickup box.
That's right.
So we're going to make that available to parents. So if y'all want to tune in to our YouTube channel, you'll find Chef Carl there
That's
as
right.
well. So I'm amazed at how many meals we serve.
That's right.
And how great the need is for the student meal program
That's
to
correct.
continue.
That's correct.
Okay, last topic before we wrap up is something called a VATRE. What is that and why do we need it?
So it's a great question, Anita. So that's a voter approval tax rate election. So we know there's two parts to the tax rate, INS and M&O. And the VATRE deals with the M&O side, which is our general operating budget. This also allows us an opportunity to access more state funding. Many districts throughout the state, and certainly around us, have already had this tax rate election that have asked the voters to increase that tax rate to generate more funding. Our board approved last night to put this on the ballot in November. That's what this VATRE is about, and we'll hear more about that. We'll have a web page specifically for that with all the details, but that is something that we will be looking for in the November election.
Dr. Cavazos, thank you for explaining that. We've certainly covered a number of topics today, and I know there are still many others. To learn more about how the district will return to in-person instruction, go to AISD.net/return to school, and you'll find presentations from board meetings, videos, a guidebook that outlines our cleaning protocols, what happens if someone tests positive, and so much more. AISD.net/return to school. Dr. Cavazos, your parting remarks today?
Yeah, so I want to thank everyone, as I always do, thank our parents, our students, our staff, and our entire community for your patience, your adaptability, and your flexibility. And it's also a thank you in advance, because we're going to ask for those things as we proceed to opening this school year and ultimately face-to-face instruction at some point. You know, Anita, I've shared with teachers as I have popped into different Zooms during their campus staff development and things during the week, that there's a reason that we're together during this time as an Arlington ISD team and family. A reason we're together, and that is to make sure that our students are served, and that after we pass this period of time, and we will pass, that we're together and reflect back that we did the very best to provide instruction and support to our students and our families. And I'm just so proud of our AISD family and our team. Thank you, Anita, for your communication team that keeps everyone informed. Sincerely appreciate it. And so with that, let's have a great 2020-2021 school year.
Sounds great. So happy first day of school, everybody, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you, Dr. Cavazos.